should be changing anything up because Damie is going to be a different style of player. Try and play that same way, at least even if it's only for the opening, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. Suss out Damie, see how he's going to be approaching this game, and then make little tweaks, little changes as the game goes on, depending on how his opponent is going to go up against him.
And of course, Roma's Damie took down Tuga in his quarterfinal yesterday. A great comeback. He was chasing the game for the majority of the time that it was ongoing, and it was in that last 10 minutes of regular time he managed to find an equaliser before scoring, of course, that goal in extra time, which took him to where we are right now. But we see some last-minute adjustments here before we get our semi-final underway. Who do you think is going to come out on top of this? Let's get a little Dan Gaskin prediction before we kick off.
I think Paulo Neto has looked a lot better in terms of how he's been going forward and some of the goals he's been scoring, but there's just something about Damie at this tournament. You can tell he really wants this. He's now got that Masters placement. He's got that like minimum placement that everyone wanted at this tournament, so he doesn't have to play in the qualifiers, so he's got that spot in FUT Champions Cup Stage 3. But the attacking flair of Paulo Neto was terrifying yesterday.
There's a little bit of an interesting understory to this as well, as we're actually going to just follow this attack through, because Paulo Neto is so dangerous once he gets that ball into the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar, Messi on the ball as well. Great dribbling here from Paulo Neto, and tries to fire that ball in, but a little bit of a Roman battle in this one as well. Obviously you have Roma, and then you have SPQR, which is, if you're wondering what that is, get into Google. A little bit of history will tell you that's a Senate in Rome back in the day, so a little bit of an interesting understory there. Not sure if it's applicable in any way, but I thought it was interesting anyway. But Damie's faded away, 3 to go! And while I'm giving a history lesson, the linesman is raising his flag.
You look a little bit like a history teacher, so I'm glad that you've been able to teach me something today. Every day is a school day, but maybe a lesson learned there for Paulo Neto, just to keep his eye on his defence. Even though it was offside, that is certainly going to be warning signs for him that Damie does have the ability to puncture his defence quite comfortably with just one of those little through balls. Does have to keep an eye on those, but whether going forward now, Paulo Neto is going to be able to find as much success as he did yesterday, because already you can see the bodies behind the ball. Damie not as attacking as Mo Albert. At least 9 men seem to be behind the ball at the moment.
Well, here's Neymar then for the Brazilian. Tries to fire that ball into Cristiano Ronaldo, making that run into the front post. Couldn't find him though, unfortunately. Now you're going to see Roma's Damie, and I think he'll be pretty full of confidence having created that early chance. Yes, the linesman's flag went up, but the fact that he's already had the ball in the back of the net, filling with hope that he can break down this Brazilian. Should he get that ball into those dangerous areas, and having pulled a few central midfielders across here, Zinedine Zidane has space to run into as Neymar turns back inside. A little bit of patience here as Cruyff, with the drag back, gets onto that left foot. Fortunately, just not being able to find that final pass in that final third.
And now this is where you really have to take advantage of the extra man from this counter-attack. The through ball was there, but instead he's just going to play it through and try and outrun his counterpart Zidane. But sometimes you just have to ball roll away from the player. He tried to ball roll it inside. It didn't really work out. Kind of ran out of room on the pitch. It's one of those unfortunate things where you're by the sideline and you wish you were more central.
Messi takes a shot from distance, and it's always dangerous when you see that opportunity for Leo Messi to line up that finesse shot towards that far post. Didn't quite get it right there. The pressure on him applied by Paulo Neto means it wasn't a clear striker goal, but a warning sign. And that's been a couple now for the Brazilian as Damie puts the pressure on again, and R9 Ronaldo's won this from the goal kick. The ball inside. Cruyff looks for the drag back. Maldini strong in the tackle.
And I think as long as Paulo Neto can continue to read Damie's drag backs and his ball rolls successfully in defence, he will have chances going forward. I wonder whether it'll be down to a couple of mistakes that might open this game up a little bit. There were mistakes yesterday from some of the best players in the world.
Maybe there's going to be a chance here. Ronaldo decides to strike it. Causes some problems, and the linesman will be busy once again, this time at the other end of the pitch. On the rebound, Lionel Messi will be in an offside position.
And I think we notice mistakes more in FIFA 20 because some of the defences are harder to break down. So you get a lot more stagnant play in the midfield. And therefore, when you do see a gap, when you do see a player slip up with a pass or they bring a player out of position, it's far more obvious and far more clear to us that there is an actual genuine mistake from them. MS Tassari, for example, yesterday made far too many mistakes. And I'm sure that's something he will try and improve on. But whether we'll see either of these players be able to stop themselves from making those mistakes, or whether we'll see moments of magic from either one.
And one thing that Damie was a little bit guilty of last year on FIFA 19, maybe he was a little bit too gun-ho. So I'm liking his approach to this tournament. He's a little bit more measured in the way that he's moving forward, but still, of course, has that attacking flair up his sleeve once he gets into those dangerous positions. But again, just showing some of the work that's done away from these tournaments for these players, showing that they're going away and they're watching and reviewing those VODs and seeing where they went wrong and how they can improve from game to game. Good to see the Roma man putting in those hours.
Does have one of the most impressive defensive records in this tournament, does Damie. He's only conceded 11 goals so far. In 5 of those matches, only conceding 1 goal across 2 legs.
Neymar then into Messi! And the commentator's curse will strike Dan Gaskin.
Well,
Lionel Messi scores first here for Paulo Neto. And it was just the space that Damie invited Neymar to run into that caused the problems.
well, it still only could be the 1 goal across 2 legs. And remember the previous matchup against Tugo when we joined it late, he was a goal down, and then it got towards the late stages of the second leg and it was still only 1-0, but he got 2 late goals, 1 in normal time and 1 in extra time to win that. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of a wake-up call for him, or could this be the beginning of the barrage from Paulo Neto? Because on the other side, his offensive record is phenomenal. It does help that he got the 7 goals against Mo Alba, that's for sure, but he was able to beat the likes of Houston 6-2 in Swiss phases as well. He actually put another 6 past Mo Alba in the Swiss round 5. So he does certainly know how to get that ball in the back of the net.
The most impressive thing looking at that is the caliber of player he's doing it against as well. You know, these aren't lackluster opponents that he's scoring these goals against, and also managing to keep down to just a few goals conceded as well. It really has been an all-round impressive performance from the Brazilian. He started off in the same vein of form that we saw yesterday, and that was going to be one of my questions, is some of these players that we saw have these fantastic Saturdays. Can they bring that form in here to Championship Sunday when it really does matter?
Well, Clash Crazy has been able to do it. He was an informed player yesterday and a pretty scary competitor to go up against. I asked a lot of questions about him at the last event with maybe the style of play we saw in some of the games, but he does switch it up accordingly as to who he is facing up against, and I think we could say the same thing to the majority of players that have reached this stage of the tournament, and Paulo Neto being one of them. Because he knows what he's facing up against here of Damie, he knows he's a more slow, methodical player. He's not going to see the same sort of attacking prowess that he saw against Mo Alba. Is he going to be more likely to sit on a lead and take his time in his attacks like we're seeing in this current one?
Well, here comes Paulo Neto again. We see a cricketa there from Lionel Messi and tries to find the ball into Ronaldo. I think Cristiano Ronaldo had just eked offside there, as you can see from the free kick being given, but at stoppage time at the end of the first half, the half-time whistle will go. And at the break here, it's 1-0 to Paulo Neto.
A deserved lead, really, as well. Has been a battle in midfield. Not much to shout about for Damie. That was that early opportunity that was called offside, and I guess it could have been a different game if Damie does take the lead. But with Paulo Neto now having the goal advantage, Damie is going to have to open up a little bit more. Maybe try and spread the width slightly and get some balls down this wing so then he can try and cut inside and go for that cut back to one of those strikers who always seems to be waiting in the midfield near the penalty spot. But Paulo Neto has been stepping up and he's been cutting those passing lanes very effectively. Damie has struggled to get into those dangerous areas.
I mean, I'd agree with you. I would also say it's kind of been just that one big chance for Paulo Neto. You have to remember as well that Damie did have the ball in the back of the net. Yes, it was offside, but he's shown that he can create chances. And if maybe just times that pass a little bit better, this could quite comfortably be 1-1 at this point. I still think it's very well balanced, this game, as we head into the second half. And as I always mention, in these massive games towards the end of the tournament, when you're into your final 4, final 2, those console finals and the cross-console final, I always feel it's about when that chance comes, can you be clinical?
Because there is so much on the line, really. It's not just about this event, it's about the future of their FIFA 20 career, maybe even just their FIFA career in general. A victory here gets you 1,400 Global Series ranking points. All you need is realistically one other qualification at another event, which they've already guaranteed for FUT Champions Cup number 3. And you're probably looking at an FEWC spot. You're going to be there at the E-World Cup. You've already guaranteed yourself playoffs by getting this far. And that is your entire season. That's what all these players are aiming for. That's what the organisations that sign these players expect. Roma will be expecting Damie to get to that E-World Cup. And a victory here might just get him there.
It was a great ball there from Damie into Ruud Gullit to find him in space. He tried to find the ball into Lionel Messi as well as he was making his way towards the edge of that 18-yard box, but well intercepted again by Paulo Neto. Just seems one of these players who can just kind of put out the fire before it really becomes too dangerous and the flames kind of get out of hand.
Again, though, those fullbacks just being a real nuisance to Roma's Damie. He's not able to get into those dangerous areas and play those through balls down the wing. It's Messi who seems to be constantly under pressure, but that's a little bit better.
There's men over here in the middle as well. If he can find this ball inside, there's going to be a chance here for R9 Ronaldo. Yashin comes out and makes himself big. Maybe that's an opportunity. Damie's going to want back because it was a huge chance.
I don't know whether it was indecisiveness or just didn't get the correct input, but it almost seemed like R9 did nothing with it, just started running towards the goalkeeper. Maybe he tried to do a ball roll and didn't quite get the input correct. Something didn't look quite right there. And Damie didn't look happy about it either.
Is that going to be a moment that the Roma man will look back on and rue a little bit later in this game? We'll have to wait and see. You can see a pause being queued up by Paulo Neto as well. Probably just personnel changes. He's going to be pretty happy tactically with how this game has gone, I would imagine. We're just past the hour mark here. Still the one goal to separate these two players. Not too many huge chances to report. It is going to be Roma's Damie now who's stepping forward. Alberto finds Messi, who manages to get the right side of his man. And that was a ball we were seeing Damie use yesterday, that early ball. Getting across the defenders into that little corridor of uncertainty. We saw that was the way that he found his way towards goal for the winner against Tuga. Maldini does well against Ronaldo.
Ronaldo hasn't been really winning those one-on-one situations shoulder to shoulder as much as we see in FIFA 19. Maybe Paulo Neto should have just said, really accepted that he wasn't going to win it and tried to ball roll away from him. Even just maybe turn back on himself. Maldini is so strong, does have that presence.
And Paulo Neto's found Ruud Gullit here. And he's twisting and he's turning, he's found Messi! And he can't find the target.
Yeah, the right foot of Messi isn't the best. Even though it is a 4-star, it sometimes doesn't feel like it. I don't know what, I think it's because his left foot is so good.
So good, yeah.
That you get it on his right and you're like, what on earth? Who is actually kicking this ball now? But it will be to the pause screen. 70 minutes in, 20 left in this first leg. And with that goal, it means on average, Paulo Neto has scored at least 2 per leg throughout this tournament. So averages would suggest another one is on the horizon.
Of course, if you're watching for the first time here, just a little reminder as Damie almost has a defensive atrocity occur as he almost got dispossessed by Cristiano Ronaldo. If you're watching for the first time here, competitive FIFA, 2 legs is what we play against, and the aggregate score is what will decide who goes through to our console final. Beautiful footwork there from Kylian Mbappe. He'll step over the flip-flap as well to try and beat his man, but again, more tricks on display here from the Brazilian. And now he wins the ball back high again. And a second goal here towards the end of this game, in a game which has been devoid of big chances. Could be a huge moment. Here's Ruud Gullit now inside the box. Tries to cut it back early. Damie defends it well.
And then we'll see whether Damie's going to continue trying to rush this ball up the pitch, because Paulo Neto's taking full advantage of that. Damie's just been passing it into these central defensive midfielders who have been waiting, cutting those passing lanes.
R9 Ronaldo waiting for Ruud Gullit to come and join him. Goes back out wide now to Zambrotta. Around 10 minutes left in this game.
And if I was Damie, I'd say, look, I will be more than happy to have one good attack here. I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to be patient. I don't need to overdo this. I still have another leg here.
Mbappe ball rolls away from one man. Carlos Alberto turns inside as well. Here's R9 Ronaldo. Almost managed to get round Paolo Maldini. used that drag back and tried to exit it the same way that he'd started, trying to fool the defender into maybe thinking he was going into that 180. Drag back there, a complete change of direction, but here comes Damie again. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of a lax pass inside.
Again, just trying to force it a little bit too much because he spotted that Paulo Neto was vulnerable from the counter-attack, didn't have as many men back. You don't need to force that pass. The reward for that risk wasn't really there. You weren't through on goal because of it. You can recycle the play, you can wait a little bit more, you can try and look for a perfect pass and more of a gap behind the defence. As Paulo Neto now will try and hold on to this ball, I'm sure.
It's brute force from R9 that's going to work his way towards goal, and Cruyff is turning away from his man, only momentarily though. Maldini at the last second managed to get a tackle in, but that looked dangerous there for Damie for just a moment.
And if that wasn't a Maldini, if that wasn't a Van Dijk, that's probably going to be a goal. You're probably going to get away from the defender, but statistics on Maldini make him so difficult to beat.
Well, here's Mbappe then, and it will be a corner. In stoppage time at the end of our first leg. Can Damie find a way towards goal here to tie this one up? Fake shot from Mbappe. Here's Eusebio inside the box. Yashin with a save. And that will be the last action from the first leg of our PS4 semi-finals. Real opportunity there, maybe, to send this one in tied up at the break.
Certainly enough opportunities for Damie to say, look, all right, well, I'm actually making something here. I'm definitely within a shot of winning this entire game. I'm only a goal down. I'm making chances. You could argue that he could have grabbed the goal with a little bit more clinical ability in front of goal with the likes of R9 when he just ran towards the goalkeeper, for example. So I think he'll be pretty happy with that. Just have a couple of chances with his coach, a couple of chats, with his coach, and maybe he can move on and be better in the second leg.
If you're wondering about the headset that these players are wearing, of course, Turtle Beach are the people who are stepping
up, using his fullbacks, utilising those fullbacks. But for Damie, I mean, towards the end, it's almost like he started to notice a pattern in how Paulo Neto was defending, and he was taking advantage of that. He was saying, all right, well, he's stepping up with these fullbacks. If I bait him in and play a little triangle around, then suddenly I've got space on that right-hand side or that left-hand side. And he was getting into those dangerous spots. But what's he doing afterwards? Like, in that final third, it's not really a clear-cut chance. Yes, okay, R9 had the ball very close to the goalkeeper. He wasn't able to do anything there. Like, do you try and chip it? Do you try and ball roll it? I think he was probably thinking that. It almost felt like he tried the ball roll and the input wasn't there or something like that. Maybe he went the wrong direction with the analog stick. But the signs are there for Damie that I'd say that he is going to be more happy and he's going to have momentum going into leg number 2.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think it's something for him to certainly keep track of as this game goes on. But we do actually have, Dan Gaskin, a Twitch drop for everyone at home as well. So make sure that your EA and your Twitch accounts are linked, because we've just dropped a Hristo Stoichkov middle tier icon to a selection of viewers just now. So that's pretty good. Make sure your Twitch accounts are linked, because we'll be doing lots of drops throughout the day. You can see it there. You've got to inform Kevin De Bruyne, as well as some packs waiting for you.
Yep, they are going to be there for you and available. But remember, of course, there are plenty of other rewards around for you as well. You've got the guaranteed rewards, you've got the TIFOs, you've got the new Global Series ball, you've got all the esports kits available, as well as other daily rewards. And there's the Twitch extension. If you have interacted on Saturday and Sunday, you will guarantee yourself some rewards as well. So if you were interacting yesterday, ensure you're interacting today as well, and you'll get yourself some goodies.
What TIFO do you use?
I've actually got the text one at the moment.
Have you? I've got the Dasari one.
Oh, yeah, of course you've got the
Dasari one. Of course I am, because I am toxic. But anyway, let's go back to talking about this game and how good I want to talk about Paulo Neto has been. I think one thing that we need to kind of talk about a little bit more is the fact that he is scoring early in every game that we've seen in so far, and he looks very exciting going towards goal when it's 0-0, when he has to score. But then his game management is absolutely superb as well. Yes, Damie's had chances, but they haven't been those huge clear-cut opportunities. And to do it consistently against players of this caliber, I mean, he seems to have the entire package at this moment to maybe go all the way.
Well, very rarely has Damie been in a situation where he's had the ball on the edge of the box and he's been situated where he's got 10 men in front of him and he's had to try and pass it around and try and manipulate the ball so he can get into a shooting opportunity. I think that's a shame for Damie, because I think actually Damie thrives in those kind of situations. He's used to playing those games, those very tactical battles, Whereas the way Paulo Neto has been playing, either he wins the ball early high up the pitch, or Damie gets the pass in behind, runs it down the wing, and then he has to do something from the corner of the pitch. Either he has to try and get that cut back across, or he has to try and beat that first man and then work his way into the box. And I think Damie is uncomfortable in those particular attacking situations. And I don't know whether this is a plan from Paulo Neto or it's just because it's the way he defends. Either way, it's working out for him. But we're going to see whether Damie can adjust to that and find something that works for him in this second leg.
I think the fact that there's not too many memorable moments where Damie's actually managed to get inside the 18-yard box. And that's where you start to get a little bit desperate as a defender. And you have to make a tackle, you have to make a block. And not managed to get into those positions too many times, but he's going to have to if he wants to get back into this game. If you're just joining us, of course, the Brazilian Paulo Neto is up by 1 in this game. But it was an incredibly tight affair, as the scoreline would indicate.
And you saw the average goals as well for both players. Paulo Neto with an average of 4.7 at the moment. That's across games rather than legs. 31 goals so far in the tournament, if you include the one he's just scored. He's only conceded 15 as well, so he's doubled the amount of goals conceded with the amount he has scored. Whereas Damie, as I said, has a very good defensive record. Has conceded 12 goals if you add the one he's conceded in this. Has only scored 19 though, so his goals for hasn't really been as impressive.
A bit of a surprise, yeah, a little bit of a surprise to hear those statistics. To say, if we look back to last year, definitely a more free-scoring player than maybe we're seeing this year. Yes, FIFA 20 is a different game, we know that, and defensively it is difficult to break teams down. We're all aware of how the game works at this point. And I say, the fact that it is close means this second leg, the next goal, is absolutely vital in how the result may pan out. 2-0 here to Paulo Neto. Forces Damie into changes earlier. However, if it stays as it is, I think Damie's going to be pretty comfortable with keeping his tactics like they are for as long as possible.
And I think we have to take those statistics with a pinch of salt as well, because yes, okay, Damie hasn't got as many goals, but he's had a lot of very close games, like 2-1s, 3-1s against opponents who maybe haven't given him the opportunity to score more while he's been ahead. Whereas Paulo Neto has been in games where he has had a lead, a substantial lead of 2-3 goals against some of the most attacking players in the scene, and they are, of course, going to give him more opportunities to score because they go gung-ho and they just send everything forward, and he's just taking full advantage of that.
Well, here comes Damie then. There's a man trying to run here. Oh, you could see what he was trying there, trying to use that run as bait to play that reverse ball inside with Lionel Messi, but well read by Paulo Neto. You saw him manually controlling that centre-back there, Maldini, covering that run. Something maybe we don't give credit to the players enough for. Recognising those situations and making sure they're manually covering the most dangerous areas of the pitch.
Definitely have noticed that the kind of reverse balls or the passes on the turn, the back heel flicks, haven't worked as well so far this tournament, and FIFA 20 in general. They just seem to lack a little bit of power, and they don't seem to be able to get through and bobble through.
Speaking of getting through though, Ronaldo gets through and has a massive chance to double the lead here for Paulo Neto. A save from Yashin though. Pressure still on here from the Brazilian, back inside, Zidane! Again, the goalkeeper makes a save.
And again, it's on that turn, it lacks power, whether it's a pass, whether it's a shot, it just doesn't really work out. You want to shoot, you want to hit it because it looks like a clear shot on goal. But if you can take that extra touch just to turn, to position yourself better, to get that balance correct for the player, you're going to be more likely to score.
Well, the pressure's still on here from Paulo Neto. Unfortunately for him, though, he's given the ball away, and here goes Johan Cruyff, and maybe there's an opportunity here on the counter-attack. You can see Van Dijk and Maldini desperately trying to get back into position. Cruyff now, back to Neymar. Cruyff's going to get lucky and have the ball fall back to him, and the defender's now back in position, but Damie had a real chance on the counter-attack there to cause some problems.
Damie definitely has an idea of how he wants to get through the defence, and a lot of it seems to be fizzing these balls, these aggressive passes towards the striker, but they're being cut out time and time again by Paulo Neto. Damie just needs to have a plan B, maybe a skill move up his sleeve that can beat that first man, and he might find himself with a bit more space, and Paulo Neto will be a little bit more vulnerable at the back.
So Paulo Neto forcing 2 saves out of the goalkeeper. Damie, though, having an opportunity on the counter-attack to maybe find an equaliser here on aggregate. Neither player was able to convert. It goes back to what I was talking about in that first leg. Who is going to be more clinical in front of goal when that chance comes?
I think as long as Damie Continues to be patient here, recognizing he's only a goal down, doesn't need to rush every single attack. Again, though, on the turn passes, they don't work. I know you think you can do it because you've got Cruyff, but sometimes you just have to accept a little bit of patience. Was it Take That who sung it? Just have a little bit of patience? Don't make me sing it, because I will. If I see one more on the turn pass.
I'm going to jump in with some commentary here to save everyone. Zidane plays this across to Hullet. Hullet fizzes that ball there into Lionel Messi, and he was bundled over there by Paulo Maldini. Dangerous position here, 25 yards out from goal. Just on the half-hour mark. Will be taken short by the looks of things. Paulo Neto. Plays this off to Lionel Messi! Yashin again turns it onto the bar. And that's three of the best from the goalkeeper to keep Damie in this game.
Yashin really has been unreal for the last two tournaments in Bucharest. I know all the pros are all about Ter Stegen usually, and they work, but slowly but surely as people try to work in getting Van Dijk in your team, Ter Stegen has been dropped here or there for Yashin, and he certainly has been a valuable asset.
Well, Paulo Neto has been knocking on the door for the majority of this first half. Three big saves coming out of the goalkeeper, like you mentioned. And he might be called upon again here as Cristiano Ronaldo tries to get away from the attentions of Patrick Vieira and Zinedine Zidane. Tackle from Zambrotta. And finally, Damie can kind of relieve the pressure for just a moment.
Yellow card isn't really going to be of any significance, although we did see our first red card of the tournament yesterday, and it actually was Paulo Neto who got a man sent off, but it was a little bit too late for Mo Alba to make any difference there.
It's a good ball inside the box, though, to Johan Cruyff. Now, what can Damie do in this position? Van Dijk comes across.
Well, I think Damie's asking himself that same question. What can I do in this position? He doesn't seem to have that many ideas in the final third.
Just on the stroke of half-time, then. In our second leg, still one goal the difference. A goal here for Damie. We're back on level turns. Here's Zinedine Zidane striding forward. Messi, patience here from Damie. Trying to build an attack, surgically moving his way towards goal. In behind the ball again from Paulo Neto. It's going to be up to Damie to break down this defensive wall. Here's R9. Hullet now trying to get into a position to maybe find a penetrative pass. So many players behind the ball here for Paulo Neto, and it just looked like Damie just ran out of ideas there, trying to find a ball across goal, but the half-time whistle will go. And when you're chasing the game, no shots on target and no shots on goal isn't going to get it done.
Well, I was saying between the legs that I think Damie thrives in those situations where he's playing the ball around and he's facing that kind of wall and he's trying to surgically get through, as you mentioned. And it looked good. There was a couple of open passes that I'm sure he wanted to play, but every time that pass opened, Paulo Neto quickly shut it down immediately. He read every single idea from Damie there to the point where Damie just had to play an aggressive, driven ball into the middle of the box because he started to run out of time. And you saw the shake of the head from him as well. He wasn't happy. He wanted more time in that spot, but because the whistle was coming, he had to try and do something. But Paulo Neto seems to have his number at the moment.
So 45 minutes here for Damie to maybe repeat what we saw him do yesterday against Tuga. It took him until the 80th minute of the second leg to find an equaliser. So it shows that he does have patience. And the further on you get in tournaments, the more nervous you become in these later situations, knowing you have to make every single attack count. But winning the ball back is a great way to start.
The only difference from that game yesterday with Tuga, though, and this one against Paulo Neto, is I think Tuga would have been more than happy to win the game with a one-goal advantage, was sitting on that lead and was expecting to grind it out for the victory across the 90 minutes. However, I think Paulo Neto is going to be more likely to hit Damie on the counter-attack when Damie does start pushing forward, does start get a little bit more risky with some of the balls and some of the runs that he makes. And there is very likely that Neto could go 2-0 up.
He has had chances to double his lead. We have to say Yashin has been superb in between the sticks for the Roma man. Well played there by Damie though. Wins the ball back and now spreads the ball out wide to Leo Messi. Sometimes you say it takes a big player and a big moment to score a big goal. Who's that man going to be for Damie, if it does come at all? Here's Johan Cruyff. Again, so difficult for Damie. Look how deep the line is here from Paulo Neto. Every single player behind the ball, and he's about 20 yards inside Paulo Neto's half.
Paulo Neto just showing his versatility, really showing that he can play that attacking game, but he will also play the same game as his opponent, because Damie is going to be doing exactly the same thing if he were a goal up. He would have everyone behind the ball. He would be playing defensive. He would be restricting his opponent's chances and frustrating them. If you can adapt to the player you're going up against, then you are going to succeed. That's why Paulo Neto has found himself in this situation where he is 30 minutes away from a console final.
Well, you are seeing the pause being queued up now by Damie. With 30 minutes left, that means tactical changes. He recognises something has to change here if he wants to find himself in a console final against Clash Crazy. But here comes Paulo Neto. A goal here might be enough to decide it. Big tackle from Vieira.
Players do flood forward for Damie, but I'd argue not enough players are there and available for him to really get any sort of threatening counter-attack, which is why he has to slowly build up. Tries to rush the pass. It's forced across and easily intercepted by Paulo Neto, which is now going to offer him the chance to again eat away at some time. And the mistake we saw from Tuga yesterday was perhaps trying to eat away at too much time and not going towards goal, not trying to double that lead. And Damie was able to come back into the game in the late stages and then punish him for doing so.
The good thing is here, he's got time. He's managed to get that pause with enough time to make these tactical changes, to give himself enough time to actually put them into use in the game. We saw him yesterday making these changes around essentially exactly the same point in the game against Tuga. And having found himself in the lead, we saw the personnel of Kylian Mbappe having to fill in at right back, having put so many attacking players onto the pitch. But this is all or nothing now for Damie. 3 at the back, 3-4-1-2 formation. Zidane and Hullet in the middle. Cruyff, Eusebio, Ronaldo, Pele, Mbappe, so much attacking flair on the pitch. It's just a case now, can he break him down just once to create one chance, one golden chance to tie this game up?
Well, it's still only the one goal as well against Damie, and that would say that he still sticks to his averages of conceding less than 2 goals
Very true.
per series. It's all well and good not conceding. Has to score to get back into this. And for all the hard work of getting to the semi-final, securing that master spot, you don't want to go out in a semi-final where you haven't been able to score a goal, where you've just been restricted from chances. You haven't really been able to threaten your opponent's goal, especially in this second leg anyway.
Well, Mbappe gets the better of the fullback here, and he can't find that pass inside again. And sometimes you talk about the timing of these quick, short passes. You have to just wait for a defender to lunge or get a half a yard. Damie's feeling the pressure a little bit here, and Paulo Neto maybe looking to compile the misery. Here's Johan Cruyff into Cristiano Ronaldo. Zambrotta tackles but can't win the ball back. Cruyff now gets it onto that right foot, and Johan Cruyff might have just sent Paulo Neto into our console final.
Something special about South Americans in FIFA, as surely that will secure Paulo Neto in the final. We also have 2 Brazilians in the Xbox semi-finals as well. And it was just that drag back was enough to get space for Cruyff. And the finish was there. Just a round up, quite a beautiful set of play for him. And for Damie, well, he already had to go gung-ho. He already had to send everything forward to try and get a goal here, but now he makes it twice as hard, needing 2. But every time he gives that ball away, it's just going to mean it's going to get harder and harder, as Paulo Neto will be able to just keep possession. Secured the $15,000 he gets for moving forward as well. And he will get to compete for that chance in a cross-console final.
We still have a little bit of time here, but I don't think anyone would have bet our PlayStation 4 final would have been between Paulo Neto and Clash Crazy. 2 incredible performances from 2 incredible players here in Bucharest. It seems like FIFA20 really is their game. And here comes Damie trying to find the ball in behind Carlos Alberto, and you feel that attack had to turn into a goal for him to have any opportunity to come back in this game.
Yeah, even if he's able to grab one here, Paulo Neto surely would have the experience to be able to hold on to the ball.
Pele strikes towards goal. Machine beats it away.
It really has been a tactical masterclass from Paulo Neto. Completely and utterly read how Damie was going to be attacking each and every time. Has been able to cut out all of those balls. Has been able to stick men in the way at the right times.
And maybe he's going to look for a third here. Almost found the ball in behind Patrick Vieira.
He's just really frustrated Damie throughout the entirety of this game. Been seen so many shakes of the heads in the player camp for the Roma man. Unfortunately, just hasn't had an answer to the defensive ability of Paulo Neto.
It has been an almost picture-perfect game here from Paulo Neto. Everything he could have dreamed of. As he goes inside now, he looks for the third. Cruyff buys a bit more time. Ronaldo can't turn back inside, but the final whistle goes. And the Samba spirit lives on here in Bucharest. Paulo Neto will find his way into the PlayStation 4 final.
Still credit to Roma's Damie, though, for getting his highest placement, I think, ever in the Global Series, getting into those semi-finals. We will see him again at FUT Champions Cup Stage 3 next year. But unfortunately, it will be the end of the road because, again, the Brazilians, they're showing up at these tournaments and they're showing what they are made of.
He has been absolutely phenomenal. I need to say it, like, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Damie's had an incredible Saturday yesterday. He looked absolutely, you know, flawless in the way that he was playing. But he's just, again, every single player who seems to come up against Paulo Neto at the moment just seems to not be on his level. It's just the consistency in defense, the consistency and the ability to score early as well, which is kind of just making his life a little bit more easy and allowing him to dictate the pace of the game. I mean, the 2 players who are in our final, it sounds crazy to say it, right? And yeah, I know that's a bad pun, but you would not have said that they had this all-round game at the start of the tournament, but they have been the best 2 players, in my opinion, throughout the PlayStation bracket.
And we'll bring out some of the stats whilst I discuss this point with you, Mark, but I think you're right. I was one of the biggest critics of Clash Crazy and how he performed 2 weeks ago. Because he was a very defensive-minded player. He was sticking everyone behind the ball, but he was able to get goals on the counter-attack. This tournament, he showed up and he said, you know what, I'm not going to be that defensive player. I'm actually going to show that I can adapt to any situation. That's what I'd say about both of these players that are in this final. Both Crazy and Paulo Neto adapt to the player that they're going against. They have a good read on them. They've done their preparation. They know how they're going to be attacking. They've got their analysing done. And then they get the job done as well. They just perform exceptionally in every single area.
I mean, restricting Damie to the chances that he had is something to be proud of for a lot of players. You know, he really did struggle, and you can see it there. 2 shots on goal. 2 shots on goal.
Across 2 legs.
Across 2 legs from the Roma man. A player who was so impressive yesterday. And that's not, you know, as much as a detriment to him and how disappointed he'll be, that's a